My first international trip was in the fall of 1985. I was a senior in high school and I traveled to Mexico with the Girl Scouts. I learned a lot on that first trip and have continued to learn from many mistakes over the last 40 years. Today, I thought I'd share 40 lessons I've learned after 40 years of traveling the world. Let's go. These lessons are mostly practical, but there are a few that are a little more esoteric, let's say, and I'm just going to go through them in the order that I thought of them, which is to say, no particular order. Let's jump right in with number one, and that is to always arrive at the airport early. I learned this the very hard way after I missed a flight and had to wait 2 days to get back to Portland from traveling to North Carolina. Yeah, I showed up. It was a tiny regional airport, and I thought, I didn't really need to get there an hour and a half or 2 hours before the flight left because it's so tiny. And I arrived and there was nobody at the desk to check in. And I waited and waited. And finally, when they came up, they said it was too late for me to check in for that flight because they had already done all of the paperwork and they had to rebook me. And because there was a hurricane kind of headed that way, they couldn't rebook me for 2 days. Yeah. That was a very, very hard lesson to learn. So even if you're flying out of a teeny tiny airport, still get there early. Number two is to always have power redundancies. And what I mean by this is to always travel with at least two portable charging devices in case something happens to one of them, or you get stuck somewhere and you run out of the power for the first power bank and you need to have the second power bank in order to have that power to keep things going. Yeah, that was another hard lesson learned. The number three lesson is to plan, but not too much, or not plan every single minute. It's good to plan to get those things in that you absolutely want to do or to see while you are in your destination, but always leave some flexibility to do lesson number four, which is to get advice and suggestions from the locals wherever you are traveling. Those have ended up being some of the best experiences I've had on my visits by opening myself up to asking the locals of things to do and places to try. Number five is for my ladies who want to go solo or have gone on a couple of solo trips, but maybe found it a little more disappointing. And this is something that I learned the hard way the first couple of times I went on my solo trips. And that is that you need to practice going solo. I did not do this before I went on my first couple of solo trips, and I felt kind of lonely and not really willing to kind of go outside of my comfort zone. So I ended up spending a lot of time in my accommodations, my hotel room, reading or doing whatever, instead of actually going out and experiencing the destination. Since then, I really try to make it a habit of going out once every couple of weeks, maybe once a week, to go do something on my own, even in my hometown, to kind of practice or to build the muscle. Just like you have to build the muscles in your body, you need to kind of build that solo travel muscle as well. I'll go out to dinner by myself and sit at the bar and chat with people that I don't know, or do something else, like maybe go to a museum that I haven't been to. But I do try to exercise that muscle a lot before going on solo trips. Number six is to make sure that you have enough memory for taking pictures. I have run into this quite a few times, thinking that my phone has enough memory to take pictures and videos for my trips, and I'll get like one day in and all of a sudden I'm out of memory on my phone, and I'm not sure what I can erase off of my phone. And yes, things go up into the cloud, but I still am hesitant to erase things off of my phone without really knowing that I have a backup of them. So making sure you have enough SD cards for your cameras and making sure that you have enough room on your phone, if that's what you are using to record your pictures, make sure that you have those before you take off for those trips, because it is kind of a pain to have to deal with that while you are traveling. And speaking of photos, this is the perfect time to tell you about today's sponsor, Craftsy. Now, I've talked about Craftsy before, and if you've ever wished your travel photos looked a little more intentional and a little less, why did I take so many landscape pictures? You're going to love what they offer. I personally took their class Travel Photography, the Essential Guide by Jad Davenport, and it completely changed the way I approach travel photography. Jad is a National Geographic photographer, and he shares so many helpful tips, whether you're shooting on a DSLR or you are just using your phone like most of us do these days. What I love is that it's not just about the technical stuff, but he also gives great tips about creating a story with your pictures, framing your shots to actually capture the feeling of a place, not just the landmarks. And after 40 years of travel, I can tell you those are the pictures that end up mattering the most. But photography isn't all that Craftsy offers. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative, from knitting, cooking, baking, and drawing classes. They also have a whole section of classes on sewing your own travel gear, duffel bags, messenger bags, toiletry kit set, you name it. If you're crafty and love the idea of personalizing your travel essentials, it's such a fun way to combine creativity with function. So whether you're looking to level up your travel photography or just want a new project that keeps the travel vibes going while you're at home, I highly recommend giving Craftsy a try. And the best part, right now, they're offering my viewers a special deal. The first 1,000 of you to click the QR code that's up here on the screen or the link in the video description and first pinned comment will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. This is valid for new members only. Thank you again to Craftsy for continuing to support this channel. Now, let's get back to the list because lesson number 7 is one I really learned the hard way, and that is to make sure that you've truly broken in your shoes before you pack them for a trip. When I went to Japan a couple of years ago, I took a new pair of reef slide sandals and I wore them the first night that we went out, and my feet had blisters across them for days. Yes, that was a very hard lesson to learn. And those shoes didn't get worn the whole rest of the 4 weeks that I traveled over in Japan and Seoul. Number 8 is to always pack a bathing suit. And I figure this one is pretty self-explanatory, but there have been a few times I have not packed a bathing suit and I really wish I had. So now it's tiny, it doesn't take up much space, and it always goes in my suitcase. Number 9 is, if possible, try to learn as much as you can about public transit before you get to your destination. I can't tell you the hours that I've wasted trying to figure out train systems and bus systems in cities when I've gotten there, when I probably could have done a little bit of research before I left and saved maybe not all the hours, but saved at least an hour or two of figuring out what cards to use, what type of currency I need to take on the bus, all of those things. So a little research will go a long way to saving you a lot of time once you're on your trip. Number 10 is to stay hydrated. There have been a few times when I've gotten super dehydrated and I was really tired and kind of felt like I was coming down with the flu, and it ended up that all I needed to do was drink more water. So staying hydrated, very important when you're traveling. Number 11 is to get into the miles and points game as soon as you possibly can. And I know for me, I have hesitated to get into that game because of it just feels so complicated, right? It feels like you are trying to do some sort of complicated calculus in order to figure out miles and points and how to use them and how to cash them in so you can get a ticket somewhere. Well, I have a way for you to make that really easy for you. And that is to join Daily Drop Pro. They have a whole class on how to get started in points and miles. You can search their site by miles or by cash to find the best deals that are available on any given day. I will have a link below in the description if you want to go check them out. But I think that is the easiest way to get started using points and miles. And I think we all should be taking advantage of this these days. 12 is one of those kind of a little bit of an esoteric one. And this is basically trusting your gut, turning on your spidey sense when you are out and about and trusting your gut if you think something feels uncomfortable. If it is uncomfortable to you in a bad way, trust your gut and walk away from it. As my favorite podcasters from My Favorite Murder say, F politeness. If somebody's making you uncomfortable, just walk away. You don't, at our age, we don't need to offer anybody any sort of politeness if they are making us feel uncomfortable. Just walk away from them. And the next one, while we're talking about guts, is to try the local cuisine. Now, this is not really a hard lesson I had to learn because I've always been kind of an adventurous eater, but there have been times that I've turned up my nose at trying certain things because I'm like, no, I'm not going to try that. And as I've gotten older and I'm doing more of this not extreme traveling, but going to very unique cultures, I have really tried to make it a point to try local unique cuisine items, from guinea pig in Peru to like fish eyeballs in Japan, things like that. So, and that fish in Sweden, yeah. So try the local cuisine. You never know. You might find something that you really like. Number 14 is something that I've learned over the past couple of years, and that is to use the map when you are picking out your accommodations. I try to look for the things that the sites that I want to see in the destination that I'm going to, and try to pick my accommodations close to where I'm going to be. To me, it's worth paying a little bit more money to be somewhere that is very walkable to go see all of the things that I want to see. So I like to use the map to pick my accommodations. And number 15 is to always be prepared for rain. After the first couple of times of going somewhere and not having any rain gear, like just a raincoat or a poncho or an umbrella, I have learned now that I pack at least a packable raincoat, if not a raincoat and an umbrella with me, no matter where I'm going. It's kind of like the bathing suit these days. I'm always going to have a raincoat with me. And number 16 is something not to pack, and that is aspirational clothing. I can't tell you how many times I've packed certain dresses or outfits because I thought it was something that it would make me a person that I wanted to be when I was traveling to that specific destination, and that item, of course, never got worn, and it just didn't need to be packed to begin with. So don't pack those things for the person that you think you want to be on vacation. Pack clothes that are comfortable and that you know that you're going to wear while you are traveling. Number 17 is something that I think, doesn't get talked about enough, and this is if you are traveling with others, make sure to build in some alone time for each of you to be able to recharge your batteries. It can be challenging to travel with another person, even if it's somebody that you love and you've traveled with a lot. You're just together constantly. And I think we all need a little bit of our own space, even when we're traveling, or especially when we're traveling and we're dealing with challenges and chaos and other stressful things. We need to have that downtime for ourselves that, it just helps us recharge and be a better person for the other person that we are traveling with. I also think this is true when you're traveling with a tour. I absolutely want to be able to have time away to be able to recharge my battery. I am an introverted extrovert, or an extroverted introvert, actually. So I can be friendly and open and chatty and all that with people, but I absolutely need the time to be able to recharge my batteries and be alone before I can go back out and be with a group of people. And I think that is important. Even for you extroverts out there, I bet you do like having that alone time when you travel. Going in a completely different direction, number 18 is to always bring some sort of Clorox or antibacterial or cleaning wipe that you can use when you are traveling. I have found, and I've said this multiple times, that when I do not wipe down my seats and everything in my plane, or even on any buses that I get on with some sort of wipe, I almost always get sick. So those travel with me all the time now. Number 19 is one that we learned when we traveled to Seoul, Korea, and that is to make sure that you have the right adapter for the country that you're going to. I had an adapter, and I thought it was an adapter that would work everywhere that I was going. Well, definitely in Japan. And then again, I thought it was going to work in Korea, but it did not. And finding an adapter to use in the country that you are in while you are in that country is a lot more challenging than you might think. We finally found one, but it was difficult. So make sure that whatever country you're traveling to, that you have the right adapter that is going to work there. Number 20 is one that I started doing because I just got tired of packing hair dryers. And that is basically to check and see what your accommodations are going to provide. Are they going to provide a hair dryer, a shampoo and conditioner, or, other items that you don't need to pack to bring with you? It's just a great way to cut down on overpacking. Okay, we're halfway through. And number 21 is one that I have learned more because of my daughter than because of me, but I have had issues as well. And that is to bring your own laundry detergent. We both have very sensitive skin. And so using odd laundry detergent that might be at the accommodation could cause us to break out. So I always bring my own laundry sheets. They take up no space and they're great to use if you end up needing to wash clothes in a sink or even the bathtub like I've done before. And I know that I am not going to have an allergic reaction. Number 22 kind of goes back to the whole points and miles thing. And that is if you have the opportunity to get into an airport lounge or to use an airport lounge pass because you don't have access to the airport lounges on a regular basis, then do it, because I will tell you, those airport lounges, most of them are really, really nice. And if you can even pay to get in one, if you have like a long layover, like maybe you have a 4 or 5 hour layover somewhere and you can pay $60 to get into an airport lounge, it is well worth the money. The food is usually great. Drinks are usually included. It's just a nicer, quieter atmosphere to be in. I highly, highly recommend airport lounges if you can get into them. 23 is to research unique experiences for the destination that you're going to. And we all know about kind of the normal things that you can do when you go to places like, I guess in Paris, like seeing the Eiffel Tower or going down the Champs-Elysees or, doing, or the Notre Dame. But research more unique things that you might be able to do. Like we did a bicycle tour of Paris, and that was awesome. My mom even did it with us. It was an experience that was the most memorable probably from that trip. So look for those more unique experiences that you can do to experience that destination, because I think those are the things that we actually remember for longer than just going and seeing a site that you look at and you go, oh, that's really cool, and take a picture or two, and then you move on. I'm a huge proponent of experiences after years of just doing the going and looking at sites and then walking away. I want to be doing something. At least that's my lesson that I have learned. Number 24 might be a little TMI, but it is to bring the things you need to help with your digestion issues, whether that's like prunes or smooth move tea, or perhaps you need to go in the other direction and you need to bring some other items to do the things that are opposite of prunes and smooth move tea. Whatever you need for your digestion issues, make sure that you have plenty of those with you, because that is something that you don't want to have to go out and find at a pharmacy somewhere when you're traveling. You just want those items with you so that you can take care of that issue as soon as it happens. And along that same line, number 25 is to always bring Dramamine or Bonine or some wristbands or whatever you need to help with motion sickness if you are a person like me who suffers from motion sickness, and it seems to getting worse as I get older. This I learned the hard way again when I was in Guatemala and I got picked up from the airport and the driver was driving me over to my accommodations, which was about an hour and a half away, and I did not realize how curvy and steep and just the ride was really rough on me. And I got motion sickness almost immediately and I had nothing with me. So that is something that I always carry with me now. I have the wristbands and I have my Dramamine always ready to go. Number 26 is kind of a safety lesson. It's not one I've actually learned because I got myself in an unsafe situation, but it's just one of those things that after traveling a lot, I have learned that just seems to be smart. It's a common sense kind of one to do. And y'all are probably out there rolling your eyes like, no, no, duh, you should be doing this anyway. But if you are in a city and you need to check your phone, find a populated area and stand in front of a wall. This will eliminate the possibility of somebody coming up from behind you and surprising you and either, pickpocketing you or stealing your purse or stealing your phone or whatever might happen. And to take it the extra step, if you're in a populated area with a lot of shops and commercial buildings that are on the sidewalk, stand in front of one that has a big window that people are shopping inside of that building. Then you have people on the inside and people on the outside that are, maybe keeping an eye on you. So if something were to happen, there'd be people around to help you. But that's one of those safety things that I haven't learned because something bad happened to me. It's just one of those things that over time, you get smarter about where you use your phone when you're traveling. Number 27 is kind of similar to the one that I talked about building in alone time. You also need to build in some rest time into your days because your alone time isn't necessarily about resting. You can do alone stuff without taking a rest, but rest time means really taking some rest, not necessarily a nap, but at least taking some time to just sit and decompress before you start on whatever the next activity is going to be. 28, I have learned that I always need to bring 2 extra pairs of reading glasses because inevitably I'm either going to leave a pair somewhere or I'm going to break one. It always happens. 29 is to always pack your carry-on suitcase like it's going to be checked. And what I mean by this is if you have any medications, if you have any charging power banks or even batteries for cameras, you need to make sure that you do not have those packed in your suitcase, that they are in your personal item, because you never know when your suitcase is going to get gate checked and it's going to go under the belly of the airplane. And they do not want portable chargers in there. You need to have your medication just in case that suitcase gets lost. And those batteries also are similar to the power bank in that they are lithium batteries and they don't want those under the belly of the plane either. And, it's always wise to have an extra set of clothing in your personal item too, just in case your suitcase gets lost. Although that does seem to be happening less and less. I have not actually had a situation where my luggage did not show up on time, at least not going to a destination. I've had it happen coming home, which isn't as big a deal, but going somewhere, I've never had that happen. But I still always pack my suitcase like it is going to get checked. And sometimes I really want it to get checked because I don't want to have to deal with it on my layovers. Number 30 is something I had to learn the hard way, and that is that travel insurance is worth it. I did not get travel insurance on a regular basis up until the time that I had a trip going to Iceland that went sideways, and I ended up losing 2 days of my trip and not getting reimbursed for any of it because of delayed flights due to weather issues. So now I absolutely always buy travel insurance. And if you're looking for some travel insurance, I do have a link below that's kind of like a travel insurance portal. So you just put in the information for the trip that you're taking, and it'll give you lots of options to choose from so that you can choose the right travel insurance for you. Number 31 is one that has really come about over the past several years, and that is to bring comfy hangout clothes, loungy kind of clothes that aren't pajamas. Say you come back from your tour and it's, the late afternoon and you don't really want to put on different clothes, but you're ready to get out of the clothes you've been wearing all day. You don't really want to put on your PJs. Having those comfy clothes that you can lounge about in, but still be able to maybe go grab a drink from downstairs in the lounge area without looking like you're wearing your pajamas. I mean, it's a whole nother level of being comfortable when I travel, for me anyway. The next two, number 32 and number 33, are ones that I have I learned long ago, but then you kind of forget these lessons, and these two have popped up again over the past couple of years. The first is to always carry blister protection, and that came about from when I talked about before not having my shoes broken in Japan. I did not have any blister protection. I had to go out and find some. And the second thing that happened while I was traveling in Japan is we were walking through the fish market in Tokyo, and all of a sudden I had an allergic reaction to something in the air, and my eyes started watering, my nose started running, my head started pounding. I mean, it was instantaneous, and I had no medication with me at all. I didn't have my Zyrtec with me. I hadn't brought any ibuprofen, nothing. And we had to go to multiple different pharmacies before we could find something, well, find someone that Alex could actually have a conversation with and find some allergy medicine that would work for me. So that was, yes. So now, from now on, I always carry my Zyrtec. I even carry some Benadryl, even though I really hesitate to take Benadryl because it knocks me out. And then I always have some ibuprofen and Aleve and some other pills like that in my everyday carry purse. Yeah, that was miserable. That was a very miserable hour for me in Tokyo. And luckily it was only an hour, but it was miserable. Number 34 might be a little controversial, but the lesson I have learned is to always carry 2 credit cards and a little bit of local cash with me when I am traveling. Sometimes you might have an issue that one of your credit cards won't work. So having that second credit card available is just a nice redundancy to have. I like that word redundancy, can't you tell? And, sometimes certain credit cards will work somewhere and other credit cards won't, like having a MasterCard and a Visa, like sometimes, or American Express and a Visa. Like sometimes people won't take American Express and you need to have a Visa card with you. So for that reason, I always carry 2 different credit cards and a little bit of local cash because again, you also might run into some place that they don't take credit cards at all. Number 35 is a lesson that I have learned over the past year, and that is eye masks are amazing. They are amazing at shutting out all of the light. So those hotel rooms that you stay in where you've got all these blue lights shining from all these different things, from the alarm clock to the TV to whatever might be on the ceiling for the smoke detector, having an eye mask takes care of all of that. I used to think that I'd feel too claustrophobic wearing an eye mask, but these silk eye masks that I've been using, I love them and they go everywhere. I wear it every night here at home now too. So that is a travel lesson that took years and years to learn. And boy, am I happy to have learned it now. Definitely helps with sleep when you are traveling. Number 36 is to always bring some sort of packable tote or a packable backpack or duffel bag, because no matter how intentional you are with your packing and trying to make sure that you have space or weight allowances for the extra things that you might buy when you are traveling, yeah, somehow or another, it almost always happens that you have more than what you anticipated. So just to cover your bases and have that extra little bag to have just in case you ended up buying, a ton more souvenirs than you thought you were going to do. And an added note to that is to bring one that the top zips, because you don't want a tote that you end up putting in an overhead bin on an airplane. And then when you go to pull the tote out, all of the stuff falls out on top of your head. And all the people who are backed up trying to get off of the plane get really annoyed with you, because yes, that has happened to me. So zippers are very important for whatever extra bag that you might bring. Number 37 is for those of us who always think that our memory is going to be so much better than it is, especially when we need to leave for our trips early morning. And that is to use sticky notes on the front door to remind you of those last minute items, whether that is a pair of shoes, a charger that you've been charging up overnight, maybe your Kindle you were charging the night before to turn off the coffee pot, whatever it is that at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're going to need to be reminded of, put it on a sticky note that is right on the door that you're going to have to look at before you walk out to go on your trip. It has saved my butt multiple times. Lesson number 38 is to try to be in the moment as much as you can. When we travel, there's so much going on. We're trying to take in all of the things that we're seeing, but we're also keeping up with the logistics of what we're doing and where we need to go, and learning new transportation systems and maps, and trying to make sure that we're going in the right direction. So sometimes we forget, we get too focused on those things, and we forget to really embrace where we are at that moment. I am completely guilty of this. So I do, when I am in certain situations, I try to really remember to take a step back and be in that moment and be in that place at that time. And this is especially for me, it has especially become something that I have to be intentional about, because I'm doing the vlogging now for the other channel, for the vlogging channel. So I need to make sure that I take time for me to be in the moment, in the place that I'm at, and enjoy that experience, and not be coming at it as somebody who is just filming a video for somebody else to watch, if that makes sense. So, which sometimes I think we all can do that if we're, get caught up in taking pictures of the place. We're not there, right? When we're taking a picture, we're not really embracing what's happening around us. So, I'm not saying that you need to have every moment that you're traveling, because that's unrealistic, but to take time at least once or twice when you're on that trip to find a quiet moment and really be in the situation or the moment. Like when we were doing this is getting really long-winded, but when we were doing the Northern Lights, right? It took a lot of effort to really just sit there and enjoy the Northern Lights and not try to be capturing it or doing things, I mean, other than trying to stay warm. It was, I wanted to make sure, because that was something I'd wanted to see for so long, that I took a few minutes to just sit and absorb it. So that's kind of the gist of what I'm trying to get across for this lesson that I learned. I hope that makes sense. Number 39 is going in a very different direction, and that is to arrange transportation from the airport to your destination if you are arriving after a very long haul flight or you're arriving at night. It is just really challenging to try to figure out transportation in a strange country when you are sleep deprived or you're really exhausted from traveling all day. It is so worth paying the extra money, and it's usually not that much extra, to have a driver waiting for you at the airport to take you to wherever you need to go. Because trying to like load up a whatever the rideshare app might be, or trying to figure out the train system, I mean, it's all going to be very confusing, and it's going to be even more confusing to your tired brain. This is something that took me several years to figure out, and that is that this just starts the whole trip off on a much better foot. And finally, the last lesson, lesson number 40, that has taken me years to figure out, and it's probably the most important lesson of all, is when you are traveling, bringing a flexible, positive, and resilient attitude with you is going to make your trip so much better. Negativity isn't really helpful in any situation in life, and it's really not helpful when you are going through the chaos of travel. So being positive and flexible just takes you in the direction that no matter where you're going or what sort of experiences you're having, whether the weather's like shit and you can't see the northern lights, no matter what happens that may not be the most pleasant of travel experiences, if you're flexible and positive, you can usually turn that around into an enjoyable vacation, no matter what. And now that you've learned from my 40 years of mistake making, check out these two videos to learn about some of my regrets. Thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video, and a big thank you to you for choosing to watch today. I hope you have safe and wonderful travels.